hello, my darlings, or our darlings as it is. Welcome to Wallace and Judith's Psychic Twins, Psychic Mediums. And had some people the other day say, I didn't realise you were twins. Maybe we don't look alike. I always used to say to people we didn't look alike, etc., etc. And then people said we do. Who the hell knows? But, I suppose if we had the same suits on and the same hair,
we do.
we would be more alike, but we don't dress alike. We did that as kids. But anyway, I won't ramble on with that. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for all of your likes and all of the new subscriptions that we received last week when we were on with Dr. Lena. And I said it on my show yesterday, and I did answer some of you wonderful people who made comments about us talking over one another and, me talking over Lena and all that. Well done. And I welcome your critique. I don't have a problem with it at all. So don't worry about those sorts of things. I didn't mind at all because it was true. It's true. Excitement, overzealous, just over the top, very, very excited about the whole thing. Do better next time. Thank you for your comments, and I hope when I answered them, you're okay with that. But anyway, next, move on. Okay, so Jude's going to take over, do the little bit of housekeeping, and tell you what the topic of today is, and then I'll come back and give you a bit of a run through on some of the things that are going on and what we sort of see. And we'll do a little bit of swap. Hopefully we'll do more of back and forwards tennis over the net. Up to you, Judy.
Okay, thanks, Wallace. And just for me too, thank you for all the comments and, for tuning in to our channel, which we're building. So a couple of things. We don't forget to subscribe subscribe where we have a goal, a really large, audacious goal. But our first goal is to get to 15,000 subscribers, and we're well on the way to that. So if you're talking to others, tell others you like us, that would be greatly appreciated. If you want to, you can buy us a coffee. That'll come up to the link for buy us a coffee, and that would be fantastic if you could do that. Today's topic, I haven't forgotten anything in the housekeeping, have I, Wallace?
No, just if you haven't, and there's always a whole bunch of people, and I do it myself. I watch channels and I find myself watching them for ages and I've forgotten to subscribe. So if you have, just hit the button, subscribe and like, and that does heaps and heaps and heaps for us. You'd be surprised at how much it helps. Thanks.
Okay, and our topic for today, thanks, Wallace. Our topic for today is that Trump has the power to threaten. Absolutely. He has the power and he threatens everybody. But he doesn't have the power to follow through. Does not have the power. And we're not talking about just he doesn't have the power, but he literally, constitutionally, democratically, doesn't have the power to follow through on those things that he does. He puts out things, he runs off at the mouth, he does a whole bunch of things, and he'll say those things, but he actually doesn't have the power to follow through. Like when he sent troops over to California, he had to pull those out, and Newsom knows it, and he only has a timeline for some things. He cannot keep it going. So that's our topic today. So we're going to read on two things. The Epstein Files, which is so in the news at the moment, but we're going to read on that, and the threats against his perceived enemies. So they're the two things we're going to read on today. We're trying to pull it back so you don't have to listen to us drone on for an hour to get to, what it is we want to say. We want to try and be a little bit more in there tell you what it is, get to it's like writing an essay, tell you what we're going to talk about, write a bit of things, and then tell you again what we've just told you. So just, very quickly, we're going to get to the point. Okay, Wallace?
Okay, so I just wanted to. I've been, this week, looking at everything, watching everything, doing quite a bit of research and reading and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, like a lot of you, I think the whole, Jeff Bezos, wedding thing was pretty bloody disgraceful, and so did a lot of other people. I thought that, us mere mortals might be the only ones who are pissed about it, but we weren't, or we're not. There were a lot of other rich people. I'm rich, but um, a lot of other rich people, monetary rich, went along, and they weren't too impressed. And I think it was pretty unimpressive. In fact, I think that it was embarrassing, and a lot of people that went, I think, were embarrassed by the, fairly disgusting display of brandishing around one's wealth, and in this way. And but that's the oligarch thing, and that's one of the things that Bernie Sanders has been campaigning against, and that's one of the things that America has been heading in for a lot of years, but we won't get into that today. I thought the Pam Bondi thing over the Epstein Files, and anyway, everything that she does, I find Pam Bondi, NFI, what does that mean? No an idea. Foot and mouth disease. She's skating on thin ice. She just takes one foot out of her mouth to put the other one in. And she's skating on thin ice because, quite frankly, he doesn't like women anyway. Even though he surrounds himself with them, he's patronising and cruel, very cruel and patronising. And she's skating on thin ice. Don't even think it. If we did a reading on it, I know that we would be seeing her demise. She'll be gone soon. We've got Patel.
Don't you think, Wallace? Sorry, I talking over you there.
I know you're not.
Don't you think? Don't you think that area? And we were just talking about this earlier before we began. That the area of cruelty around everything that's happening and has happened this year so far.
Look at the US aid thing. Now they're going to go and what are they doing? They're going to incinerate all that food that would feed 1.5 million children.
I just find the cruelty.
It's cruel. The cruelty is just, it's astonishing. Oh,
absolutely
don't
astonishing.
Get me going on it. It's bloody astonishing, and it's disgusting. I mean, wrapped up in that for me is disgust, absolute, utter disgust. It's just the cruelty of this administration is, but then it's this whole, it's this whole oligarch. It's all about money. It's been festering for years. He's just the messenger, and he's leading the way for a lot of people. This has been a lot of discontent for a lot of years in America. It's been festering for a long time, and it's now showing itself in these ways. But the interesting thing, and you can input to this, Judy, because we both watched it this week, it was very interesting. I was thinking about if I took a piece of transparent paper and I overlaid all the movement of the planets, Aquarius, and all the things that Pam Gregory was saying this week on her interview with
Lee Harris.
Yeah. And all the things that are happening. If you were to overlay that on the world, and certainly on America, if you were to overlay that, boy, oh boy, it definitely is the end of this big movement. And of course, the movement of the planets and the movement of all of this movement has to express itself. Look at it the other way around. Rather than we're not affecting out there is affecting us. So if we look at it in that way and remind ourselves that all of that planetary movement, all that cycle, all that transformation is overlaying itself on us and the planet, and that there has to be some confirmation, so to speak, of that. And the confirmation is in the events and the things that are taking place. So if we're not totally convinced that all of this that's been said is true, false, or whatever, just simply overlay it, bring it back and overlay it over the planet and take a look at the events. Take a look at what's going on. Everything that's going on backs up what's going on out there. Very exciting, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, the change is very exciting, means that it's not going to stay stagnant. And although we look at it and we look at the madness every day, that madness every day is leading us to a conclusion.
Yeah,
And that conclusion is, bigger than Ben-Hur, as we say. And really, I mean, to think about how that's going to end. It's not going to keep going, and it be all about Trump and the Republicans and MAGA and things like that. There's far, far, far bigger and exciting things to come. So I think, that's what we've got to hang on to, because that is a fact. That's not, we're not talking conspiracy theories here. We're not talking made up. We're not talking any of those sorts of things. This is evidence-based. And so, that's the good news. So not to keep focusing on and focus on, how we want things to change. What do we want? And it's, all for the good. And that about food and them burning food and all that, they're just the most disgusting people. And when we think about how much this will go down in history, and people will look back in time, because we'll look from a different perspective, it'll be that they, will be like metronomes. They'll shake their head and say, my God, what would it have been like
what were
to
we
have
thinking?
lived in those
where
times?
were our heads? Yeah,
where were we? What happened?
Yeah.
Where did humanity go off the rails there?
Yeah.
And that's certainly what's happening. Okay.
Absolutely. So, his popularity is certainly, it's waning. I mean, there's all these, it's all negative in so many areas. When he went to FIFA and, they booed him, he stayed there because he's got no brains. But the booing and the whole snub by the FIFA people and the players and that was just, I thought, I'll serve you right, you nitwit. Okay, so but it's interesting, this whole his whole thing about the threats and the perceived enemies and all that sort of stuff. So he's using his presidency to get even and to speak, um, he's using it against anybody who speaks out against him or says anything about him or says something awful about him. It's a bit like the very, very old days, isn't it? When, off with his head, can't say that about me. I don't, like it when you don't say nice things. And it was very, very interesting. I found it very interesting, all this thing about his tariffs and all the rest of the stuff. And of course, the reason that he put, those 50% tariffs on Brazil particularly, and he's done it for lots of other reasons with everybody else, but Brazil particularly, and Americans will be paying, mega dollars more for bloody coffee, but he's put mega tariffs on 50% tariffs on Brazil. Why? Because Brazil is prosecuting its former president for attempting to overthrow the last election, and you have to laugh about that because, and then in the next breath he goes on about, how much, they owe him and how much they owe America, blah, blah, blah. Little interesting thing to note, though, is that there's no deficit with Brazil because last year they had a trade surplus, Brazil, of 7.4 billion. So there's no money owed by Brazil. It
I
was
don't know why he keeps talking about money and what's owed and everything, Wallace, when America owes money everywhere. I mean,
yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
yeah, they can't pay their bills. Yep. Okay. So, and why? We've got this, them wanting to, and it's just inconvenient for people because it's going to go nowhere. And it's part of what we've been saying today about, threatening people. But, the former CIA director, the former FBI director, why? Why is he having a go at them? It's going to go nowhere, but it's inconvenient, and it has them, have to defend themselves against all this bullshit. But why is he doing it? Because in 2016, they led the investigations into the campaign connections to Russia. It's sicko stuff, love. Very, very sicko. So, but he won't get anywhere with it because there's no evidence with what he's accusing them of, but he's certainly going to make their lives miserable. And that's the whole point of it anyway. Somebody said recently, one of his people, I think it was, yeah, it was one of his people, cruelty runs through the whole thing. It's astonishing that it's systemic, and it's systemic cruelty. It's not just him, it's all the other followers too. The systemic cruelty is just something to behold. But one of his people the other day said it didn't matter that, they won't get a conviction or anything like that, but they'll make their lives miserable in the meantime, and that's what they'd like to do. Really? Okay, all right. All right, well, let's oh, it's a joke. It's a joke. Don't get me going. Okay, Judy. You're going
Okay,
to
let's
you're
look
going
at
to
the
look at
Epstein
the
file.
Epstein
Epstein.
files. Now, the
Hmm.
question is, what would you like the question to be, Judy?
Um, I think I think one of the things now with all the talk and mostly what's coming up and everybody's waiting for and yelling at the tops of their voices, and even some of the Republicans now, even I noticed Johnson a couple of days came out and said we should release the files. The files should be released, but Trump's heart and his head are in the right place. And I thought, yes, every time he goes to the toilet, his brains fall out. So, yes, they are in the right place, in the extremity of his body. So that was just a load of rubbish. But
So are we?
they
So
are,
are we doing a
so
reading on
it's about
whether they'll release it? I'd like to go a
so,
bit further.
yeah,
Somebody at the door, see, they're going all silly. I'd like to go a bit further and say, or look at, one, whether they'll be released, and whether they'll be released unredacted. I don't have a
uh,
problem with the normal redactions to protect victims, but will it be redacted to protect all his rich friends? Because, quite frankly, as Katie Fang was saying on I've Had It over the last couple of days when she was on, that it doesn't matter who it affects, whether it's Democrats, Republicans, rich, poor, whoever it affects. It should be out and let the public do that judgment for themselves. I agree with that. Oh, okay. Yep. All right. I'm going to go with that card first. So,
all
Judy.
right, go. You go, Wallace.
Oh, okay. Well,
What are you
my first
getting?
card out was the Tower card. I love it. Yeah, falling down of old structures. Absolutely. I think they will release them. I think that the pressure is such that they will. Will they release them unredacted? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. We'll have a look at that.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to hold this one up, and it's the Seven of Swords, and if you can see it, it's all about the lies. I'm getting, yes, they'll release the files that so-called don't exist. And when they do release the files that don't exist, they will be redacted, and it will be an absolute more of the same stall tactics that we've been seeing these last week or whatever since all this came out. And there'll be more screaming, and there'll be more we want to see the real thing, we want to do this, we want to do that. This card here is Pam Bondi, and I think as long
who's
as
that? Who is that you pulled out?
sorry, it was the Queen of Swords.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you know, at the moment she's doing a power of thinking and talking and trying to wheedle her way out of things that she did say, and she's trying to save face. But I honestly think, yes, there are files, yes, there are names, and there's some pretty big names on there, of course, that don't want to come out. So there's a lot going on there. I think as far as Trump is concerned, I don't think that people are worried. I mean, the whole thing is disgraceful, disgusting. Mar-a-Lago was used as an area for pedophilia. I mean, there's that they went down there, and him and Epstein hunted children. They in some of those interviews, some of the things that they took those children, the women like Ghislaine, and taught those young children how to do for men was disgraceful. I mean, under normal circumstances, there has not one person in all of that been brought to justice. Not one person has been charged over that. And Trump needs to be charged. They used Mar-a-Lago, so for him to feign ignorance is just BS. It's just a whole lot of BS. So he's there. Yes, they will release some of the names. Well, you won't see them. I mean, this is going to go on because they're going to play a game with this until, I believe, a bombshell is going to hit the camp.
Yep.
And they are going to scatter because they're not going to know what to do. And I'm going to tell you what I'm getting. They didn't see it coming. Correct. And that's the best part.
Okay, I got Queen of Cups. Interesting, you got, this is Ghislaine Maxwell, and she's, it doesn't matter whether she's got the list, it doesn't matter what she's got, it's all in her head. She was there, she witnessed it, she experienced it, she knows all about it, she was party to it all, never mind about all the other bullshit she comes out with. It's a bit like, it's all great while it's all going good, but when it's not going so good, and if she wasn't guilty over it all and she wasn't nervous about all that sort of stuff, she wouldn't have run away originally and hid in the hills. So yeah, she's definitely guilty, and it was all good while it was all good, but when the shit hit the fan, so to speak, well then you know, they all cry wolf and they all don't like it, and that's exactly what she's doing at the moment. But she does know, and I think I'm going to go with what's coming to me. I think she'll cut a deal. I think she'll cut a deal with the Justice Department, and and therein lies the problem, because you know, the others, Patel and all the others, will be scrambling, you know, to cover up what she's saying and what's been handed over.
And not only what she's saying, but what they said. Yeah. What they said.
But having said that, and they won't, the whole point is, it's gone too far, you see. They won't be able to do that. because it's gone too far. They're not lone rangers. There's a lot of other people sitting waiting to chop their heads off. So they won't get away with that. That'll be just too difficult. Too difficult. And he's not going to issue a pardon because at this point in time he can't. It would be all too bloody obvious. So they're between a rock and a hard place. I'm going to say that. Page of Wands says to me that there is definitely, like you said, I believe there's a bombshell to come, and it'll be interesting what that bombshell is when it hits. I'm just having a look at it. Yes, the Hangman came out for me, and that's very interesting because for me, it just says that it's not over till the fat lady sings, and she hasn't sung yet.
Okay.
Anything else, Judy, to add to that before we move?
No, I just it's going to come to a head, but there's going to be a lot more toing and froing before it does, because there's a lot of very wealthy people, as you and I have talked at times, and we've said that Trump's just the puppet. He's the puppet on a string, and there's very powerful people behind him pulling those strings. And of course, he's trying to now shift everything.
And the rot has to change, Jude.
Yeah. Well, part of all of that at now is, of course, what he's doing. While all this is, he's very, very good at denying everything. It wouldn't matter if it looked like a duck, quacked like a duck, walked like a duck. It wouldn't be a duck.
No, it'd be
it just wouldn't be. It'd be some kitten or something. You know what I mean? I've been a bit extreme here, but the man is an absolute. He was schooled by a lawyer many, many, many years ago in three things. And I can't remember all of the three things, but one of those was deny it, deny it, deny it, deny it, deny it. And he lives by these three things.
Well, you know he's a liar anyway. Look at this bullshit he just fed. What about the cock and bull bullshit story? I mean, it never even took place. I mean, he went on about, the Unabomber, his uncle, teaching him at university and la, 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 and he went on with all that bullshit. That bloke never ever went to that university.
He's just a master at it, and that's the thing.
He makes it up. The minute he makes it up and it comes out of his mouth, it's for real.
Well, it is. I mean, that's all for real, because now he's trying to shift the thing, and they're all grabbing onto things now because they're watching. And I said a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? I said, keep an eye on the Bitcoin. Keep an eye on cryptocurrency. Keep an eye on it.
Absolutely.
Well, what's coming up? The thing about changing the laws around cryptocurrency. And he wants to do that because the guy that he pardoned, that owns Binance, that guy, he set all that up for him and the family, the Trump family, to make billions.
That's right.
And of course, he wants all that to go on. So now it's gone in front of Congress to change the laws, so this mongrel can keep going and milking any bit of money around for all it's worth. And he doesn't care where it comes from. He doesn't care whether it comes from, starving children to death. He doesn't care whether it comes from dropping bombs on another country and they all kill each other. It's like all this has nothing to do with him. He was interviewed this last day, and they asked him about the Epstein Files, and he walked away and he said it didn't have anything to do with him. Nothing at all.
Okay, let's quickly read. We've got another 3 to 5 minutes. Let's quickly read on the last topic, and
Yep.
that's these threats against his perceived enemies. Let's take a look at that, what the, what's going on around that, what'll happen. I've pulled out 3 cards. You go for yours first. Quickly run through those 3 cards for us.
Yep.
And then I'll run through mine.
Okay. Just put those out for you.
And hold them up and tell us what they are, Dal.
Yep, of course. Well, look, we got the Knight of Swords. We got the 9 of Wands, and we got the King of Wands. Look, I said before, I'll hold those up. I said before that there's so much behind him that people are using. We all know that he talked about this before elections, and he's talked about this over this last 8 years or 10 years or whatever the case may be, and he's always out to get this one, and this one says something about him, and he's out to get this one. But I can't help getting behind all of this are others pushing him along. Now, it feels like a handful of people in even to the law. They're giving him a lot of leeway, and I got the High Court.
The Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, not our
Yeah,
High
absolutely.
Court. It's like us, it's the Supreme Court.
You've got those cronies up there, and I think there's only a couple of hopefuls in there, the rest are crooked.
That's right. And in the Supreme Court, he's a puppet. And he does things. They put things out there. And they've got their own agenda. They're using him. He's stupid. I mean, you couldn't be any more stupid, could you?
Well, I suppose, Giles, if you're going to be used, you may as well be the president of the United States and have all the trappings and, have a few nice things around you for a while and be able to ride around in an aeroplane all decked out, go wherever you want and even leave the country, even though you're a felon. You may as well do all that, as president of the United States of America. I mean, God, if you're going to if you're going to be stupid there in that position. I don't know.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. The Supreme Court are using this bloke. They're going to use him to the hilt. They've got their own agenda. They're trying to be the top of the tree, so there's no democracy, that they call the shots in everything. And never mind about having any scruples in it. And I feel that they push him along, so they know his buttons. So it's him. They know his buttons. They know how stupid he is. They know that he's a child.
Well, every time he comes up with something, they bloody, they let it go through. And
but does he come up?
They can clean the mess later if they need to. Oh.
He's doing their bidding.
Yep, absolutely.
He's doing their bidding, and he doesn't know it. He's stupid.
Yeah. Okay, I got the Emperor card. Well, that's him, of course, the Emperor. I got this, 8 of Wands. And for me, immediately it came out. I just read the energies of it. Immediately the 8 of Wands came out. I felt like he's being hit from all angles at the moment. That's why he's wearing so much makeup. And his feet are swelling and his hands are falling apart. He's fallen apart, on a daily basis because he's being hit. We don't see it all. And what I'm getting and what I'm being told is that he's being hit from all angles, and it's not just the Epstein stuff. He's been hit. He's got that many law cases out against him. He's being bombarded. That's what I got from this card. He was being bombarded, and he's not holding up too well under it. Now, the Queen of Swords, I'm going to go with Jasmine Crockett, because he's calling her basically a dumbass, and that she's uneducated and she's got no brains, her and AOC. And I think to myself, oh, mate, you've come up against two women who are not going to put up with your shit. And the others, these cronies and the other cronies, the ones that have sold their souls, they should be locked away. But these two women and Porter and a few of the others, I feel, I'm being told actually, that there's this, I call it my quickening. There's this whole thing going on around all these women, and they're gathering. There's this gathering, and they're going to come out. Watch this space. They're going to come out like screaming banshees, and he's not going to get away with it. And if anybody's well equipped to do it, those women are.
I like the area too that we talked about earlier was, this perceived power. And that brings me back to, what I said, just recapping on what I said, that the Supreme Court in America are behind Trump pulling the strings. So they know what he does, they know all about him, and they know what triggers things, they know what presses his buttons, and when it comes up to them, they just validate it. But that's their agenda. He thinks it's his, but it's theirs. And so that's the area that, look, unfortunately, when things come, how many times over this last few months has things come before the Supreme Court? Just look at it. You only have to look at it. Just look at things comes up before the Supreme Court, and they squash it in his favour. And there's only one or two who speak out.
They're going to keep doing that until things change. Okay, we are done. And we thank you. We hope that you enjoyed it. Of course, it's for entertainment purposes only. And we've had fun. We hope you have too. And I always say, when I go, you go with me. When you go, I go with you. Thank you, my darlings, for joining us. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for helping us grow the channel. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank everybody, and as I always say, lots of hugs, and hug.
See you next week.
See you next week.
On Judith
Psychic
and
Twins.
Wallace and Judith, Psychic Medium Twins. Okay.
Bye.
Bye
everybody.
Now. Bye.